this live session. I'm Daddy Freeze, convener of the Free the Sheeple movement and leader of the Free Nation in Christ. I greet you and I bring glad tidings. Recently, there was a statement from Funke ADEJUMO regarding wives whose impact cannot be felt in their husbands' lives. And I think we should discuss this. A certain lady called, uh, what's her name? Laila St. Matthew Daniels, called her out over this. Laila St. Matthew Daniels is a life coach. And according to the post on Linda Ikeji's blog, she called out clergywoman Funke Felix Adejumo, who, while preaching to a group of women, said any woman whose husband's life fails to appreciate after a marriage is a witch. She said, if your husband's life does not appreciate after marriage, you're a witch. Now, I don't know where to start from. First of all, let me start here. Is Funke Adejumo entirely wrong? No. I'm not just going to roll her under the bus and say, she doesn't know what she's talking about, blah, 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 blah. No. But I've always had a problem with Funke Adejumo's, should I say, mannerism or method of presenting a topic. She strikes me as very judgmental. Now, I have also been quite judgmental in my addressing doctrinal issues. So it's a thing I'm also working on, and it's a thing I also hope she can work on. You've got to be very careful so as not. There was a statement she made once. She said, if you're a housewife, something about housewives, that if you're a housewife, have a colossal waste or something. I don't remember the exact words, but let me tell you the story of a friend of mine whose wife has been a housewife since they got married. She has a child with special needs. If you have a child with special needs, one of you is going to sit at home, guaranteed. So when a woman like that that's already going through a lot, trying to sort out her son, and then somebody now comes and says a woman that is a housewife is a colossal waste, it's already difficult enough for the woman who's dealing with the issue. Because she has no choice. You can't have a child with special needs and go, and what work are you working? So you've got to be careful when you just come out with these one-size-fits-all narratives. And yes, she is. I can give her some credit, because if you marry a man, there should be a significant reflection of you in the man's life. However, you can't change every man. There's some men who can't be changed. There's some men who are on a downward spiral. Maybe they have addictions like gambling or substance abuse or things like that, and they're spiraling downwards. Even their parents are just standing by and watching them crash. Yes, a good wife would be able to help a husband when he's in need, but a good wife is not a psychologist, psychiatrist, lawyer, doctor, all wrapped up in one. A wife is your companion. She's not your problem solver. Sometimes we go into relationships with too many expectations, that, we miss the essence at the end of the day. Let me give you an example. When I met my ex, we're both were cool when we're in university. But the moment we got married and the real life began, I started having dreams that I wasn't seeing her in. She couldn't understand me. No matter how I tried, she couldn't understand me. So I wouldn't call her a witch for not helping me or not understanding me. No, she didn't understand me because we were ill matched. When I met taste buds, on the other hand, I don't have to explain my doctrine to taste buds 10 times. I don't, there are things that she understands. She knows that this is me, this is how I am. And she works with me. And guess what? It is a two-way street. When I met taste buds, she had no knowledge of social media. I brought her into social media. I tutored her with the little things, and we worked together to build both brands. She has single-handedly handled the admin of the Free Nation because I'm too busy to be able to handle it. And I really don't have people I trust around me. But I know she's not going to run away with money in the Free Nation. And she knows our forte. We don't touch church funds for any reason whatsoever. So it is easier for me to work with her than it was for me to work with my ex. This doesn't mean my ex is a witch. And there was a time my ex said something to me. She said, my name doesn't open any doors for her. She said it in a heated battle, and I'm sure she meant it as an insult. And I sat down and I thought about it. And I realized, in all honesty, my name never opened any doors for her. I couldn't help her get a job because I'm on the radio. Her line of work is different. All her 3 jobs she got while we were married, she got by herself and her family help. I could contribute nothing to her life except buy car or all those kind of material things. But career-wise, I couldn't contribute anything to her life because I didn't have the potential. And I'm not even sure I helped too much because, let me give you an example. She has to wake up at 5 a.m. to get to work. My own work then used to start at 4. I used to work from 4 p.m. till 9 p.m. because I was on the road show on Cool FM. Someone that is starting work at 4 p.m., what time do you think you wake up in the morning? I'm asking you, what time do you think that person wake up? I never was waking up before 10. There was nothing that was getting me out of bed before 10, except some emergency meeting or I was good enough to get up every single day at 11 and still meet all my schedule. Then what I used to do was, when I'm done at 9 on the radio, I'll do production work maybe till midnight. So I come home at midnight, eat, watch TV, go to bed at 2 a.m. and then wake up at 9, 10, 11, 12, depending on my scenario. So how much input could she have possibly given me in my career? She wasn't very supportive because she didn't really understand what my career was. And because she was in oil and gas, I also didn't understand. I didn't have a clue what was going on in oil and gas. So the best she could have done was give me a peaceful home. And because we're ill-matched, we weren't getting that either. Now, would I say she was a witch? Of course not. Many of us make these mistakes. We blame other people for our mistakes. We blame our parents, we blame our circumstance, forgetting that, look, half the blame is you. And also we need to understand, you know what, before I go into the scriptures, let me deal with Laila, what's her name again? Laila St. Matthew Daniels. She said, this woman I hear preaches well in the area of parenting, but when she crosses to the other areas, it's a give and take. How can she say this? And I refuse to accept some people's comment that the whole message should be listened to. The man who only picks this up will react if for any reason he is having issues with his business. What about if he's the lazy one and makes her life uncomfortable? That means he's a wizard? Taking the scripture, he who finds a wife and receives the blessings of the Lord, the blessing is dependent on how he uses it and how he is treating her. She should stop misleading the congregation. This is from Laila St. Matthew Daniels. Now, before I go to the scriptures, there's something I also want to say. We've got to be careful how we push the marriage narrative. There's something Christ said. Go with me to the book of Luke. Luke chapter 12 and verse 56. He was saying to the Pharisees, you fools, you know how to interpret the weather and the signs of the earth and sky, but you don't know how to interpret the present times. You see, many people don't understand how to interpret the present times. And it is dangerous to misinterpret the present times. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. It is dangerous to misinterpret the present times. And many of our preachers need to realize that we're not Hebrews, we're not Jews. You can't just superimpose the Jewish life and laws on us, especially if you're taking laws that predated Christ himself. You need to understand that Adam and Eve were told to go into the world to procreate. Now we've got 7 billion people. Nobody needs to procreate. You procreate because you want to. You procreate because you like to. If you don't procreate, the world will still have a healthy population. As a matter of fact, we're nudging closer to overpopulation than underpopulation. So when you just open the scriptures and take them with a blanket, you tend to miss the essence of scripture. So we've got to be very careful. And especially when you make a man or a woman feel useless. If there's no positive increase in your husband's life, then you're a witch. What if? Let me tell you, some people are saying, the husband is drunk, the husband is this, the husband gambles. What if the husband is neither of those things, but just has a penchant for bad decision making? Bad decision making. Somebody saying we are Hebrews. So we are not Hebrews, we are Gentiles. And if we ever are Hebrews, we are not Hebrews by law, we're Hebrews by faith. So I don't like using that because it confuses, it distorts people's perceptions. You are not a Jew, you are a Nigerian. You've got to be very careful with that. Paul was being figurative when he made that statement. Don't misquote him. If you want to know what you are, check your passport. And if you have any doubt, get a customs or immigrations personnel to look at it and tell you where you are from. That's when you know where you are from. You are a Nigerian Gentile. I am half Nigerian, half Romanian Gentile. We're not Jews. So you've got to be careful with that narrative. And if you just take things, you see, yesterday we're talking about David and taking the law and misquoting the law and all that. It's also something that needs to be addressed. You see, you can't run to the Old Testament because it suits you, because it suits your narrative, and then you're not doing what the Old Testament said you should do. Those days when, because what she quoted was from the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 22. The man who finds a wife finds a treasure and he receives favor from the Lord. You've got to understand that when this was written, women were marrying as virgins. This, in that context. You've got to understand that marriages were fixed. Parents were the ones who were choosing. Do you know that love as a basis for marriage is about 200, 300 years old max? Before then, marriage was a family arrangement. Sometimes I could actually marry my friend's daughter. So you can't just take a blanket statement. He who finds a wife finds a treasure. Oh yes, it does make sense. If you find a wife, you find a treasure and receive favor from the Lord. But let me tell you something. I'll use the instance of Jacob. Jacob was blessed because he wrestled with God and overcame, and God blessed him. He was blessed because he was able to steal or kolobi Esau's blessing. He was blessed because he was Abraham's grandson, and he had the generic Abrahamic blessing of Genesis chapter 12 and the specific Abrahamic blessing of Genesis chapter 17. So he was blessed all round. But guess what? A pagan Pharaoh was the one who God revealed his plan for the next 14 years to, because Jacob could not utilize his blessing. So yes, if you get married, you're blessed, you find favor from the Lord. But if you don't have the capacity to utilize that favor, it all goes to waste. And sometimes it's not the woman's fault. You have a Ferrari engine, but you don't have a Ferrari car, and you're trying to squeeze the Ferrari engine into a downfall, and then you expect to be able to race Lewis Hamilton and win. And then you say the engine is not good. You couldn't utilize the engine. Let me give you an example. You're trying to travel abroad, and you rush to the airport. Just like imagine that time there was protest and everywhere scatter, and nobody dare to stop you. You literally walk into an airplane. The engines are on. It has been pushed out. All the airplane needs to do is turn, face the runway, taxi to the runway, and take off. Do you know that you have a blessing? A whole airplane. And you can hear the mob running, they are coming. But the blessing is useless to you if you don't know how to fly a plane. They will catch you there. But if you were a pilot that was running from the mob, ran into a plane, closed the door, he knows what to do. Then the aeroplane now becomes a blessing because he can quickly taxi it while they are running. He'll do what they call rolling takeoff. He'll just roll onto the runway and just throttle, go. But if you don't have the potential to use that blessing, that favor that God has given you, because God has presented a plane to you, you run away with it, and you now don't know how to fly. Now, if you had an idea of flying, but you're not good enough, you can manage and maybe take off and just manage and go and land somewhere near, or crash land into some water and then come out and survive, if you understand what I'm talking about. But if you have no ability to utilize that potential, it goes to waste. So the ability to utilize a good wife doesn't lie in the hands of the wife, it lies in the hands of the husband. When Tisbot came to my life, I was able to utilize her in every way. There's no part of her that is wasting. Everything is put up to good use. Because I understand her, because I have need for her, so it's easier. So when we are laying blame on a woman, now you also need to know that people are going through a lot. The economy is tough. You're probably going to be with some men for 10 years and you're barely going to break even. It's not your fault. It's not the man's fault. It's just the situation. Sometimes you're the right woman, you're with the right man, but you're in the wrong place. And you just can't build anything because no matter how you try, it's like you're in a quicksand. You're in quicksand and it just keeps, the more you struggle with it, the more it pulls you down. Then it looks like you are ill-matched. Well, actually, the problem is you're in the wrong place. Or you make the wrong decisions. So the ability to utilize a good wife is the equivalent of them giving you an aeroplane. They say, everywhere wants to scatter. Then you see a pilot on the floor like in the movies. Oh, you know what? Let me save your life. Run. Take. Use the plane. This is the tag that opens the door. He's not done you any favor. If you don't know how to fly a plane, he's not done you any favor. So now, would you say somebody that gave you one whole aeroplane did not try for you? So whose fault is it? Is it the person who gave you aeroplane or you that don't know how to fly? And same applies for the men. Now, I don't blame Funke ADEJUMO in this instance because I can clearly see that her message was directed towards the women. So, yes, also, a man too is a wizard, quote and unquote, if he can't utilize his wife. But I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't use those harsh terms. Now, let's go back to our pilot story. Our pilot who is trying to run away. And then, our guy who's trying to run away and they give an aeroplane and he cannot fly it. It becomes his fault if his mother sent him to flying school and he dropped out. Or he had the opportunity to learn how to fly and he chose to do something else with his time. Then it becomes his fault. But it is not his fault if the opportunity never... Is it you that went to Lagelu Grammar School and then from there went to Poly Badon? Have you seen an aeroplane before in your life that you know how to fly it? I don't know if I'm making sense to you. So, you also need to understand the limitations of the person you're getting into a relationship with. Human beings have limitations. I have my limitations. If you put me in a job that requires me waking up at 6 a.m. and working the whole day and going to bed and working the 9 to 5, I will be useless. I'll probably be the weakest link in the team. And people will be wondering, this Daddy Freeze, and he was doing so well when he was preaching to us on social media. Why is he not doing well here? Simple. You can't judge a fish by its ability to climb tree. If you try it, that fish will forever be a failure. So also, instead of running down our women, I'm appealing to you now, Pastor Funke, instead of running down or having messages that might be perceived as derogatory, I don't blame you. I blame the previous generation. That's how my grandmother used to talk. My grandmother used to sometimes greet us with insults. I never could figure it out. And guess what? I took it from her. And sometimes I talk to my children too with insults. I should go by, no? Why are you daft like this? Why don't you just have sense? And she's not saying it because she hates you. She's just saying it because that's how she knows how to speak. Now, Funke's generation, who took over from my grandmother's generation, got away with it for a long time because they were not transmitting on social media. I beg you, our pastors, our politicians, you need to understand that social media is bringing to light things that used to be hidden. So you need to be extra careful when making statements. You need to see things through, and you also need to be quick to apologize. I didn't mean it like that. Oh, this is what I was trying to say. Oh, because right now, this Sorosoke generation, they're actually sitting down like vulture, hyena, waiting, talk. Hey, Mo, go there. So you need to understand that you have to be very careful not to fund that. Somebody said you found the favor doesn't mean you have the capacity to utilize the favor. God bless you. God bless you. Clear example is the example I gave of a plane. You are running away from a mob that is everywhere is catching. Now running to the airport. You now see a pilot wounded someone. Now says that plane, use it and escape. Now there they go catch you. Wallahi. Now there they go catch you. Use water and escape to where? You will be Okada rider. Where you want to start from? So it's not that you don't have a whole plane and there's fuel in it and the engine is even on. It's a blessing. It's supposed to be able to take you to safety. All you need to do is fly and go and land in Cotonou and you are fine. But then you can't utilize the blessing. You are a Jacob generation. You have Joseph, and Joseph comes to tell you, I see the sun, the moon, and 11 stars. And then you say, are you saying that me and your brothers are going to bow before you? Yes, that's what he's saying. And the fact that you don't understand it is what's going to take him to Pharaoh, who will immediately understand his gift. So sometimes you're in a relationship with a woman and you don't understand her gift. And your lack of understanding also does not let you appreciate her. Now, because I understand taste buds, I understand her gift, I also appreciate her. I don't want her to go. I don't want her to be unhappy. Someone that serves me eba with 3 different soups, and I'll sit down like this, I'll be eating afang. If I take one morsel of eba, it's with afang. The next one is with seafood okra. The third one is with oha. And that's how I eat small eba like this with 3 different soup. I never do them before for my life. I don't know say that they do them until I meet them. So I no go wound them or wicked them in such a way that she will go. But when I can't see the potential, like Jacob couldn't understand, he loved Joseph, but he didn't understand his potential. The moment he gave Pharaoh the interpretation of his dream, Pharaoh said, oh, yeah, that's our prime minister. Oh, yeah, take ring. Bah. B. You are in charge of this, you are in charge of this, you are in charge of this. Boom. Pharaoh's only gift was the ability to locate someone who was capable. Sometimes we need to pray so we can have the gift to be able to understand and appreciate what we have, male and female. I guess my ex is doing better now she left me. I'm also doing 10 times better now I left her. So it wasn't like I'm bad or she's bad. We just couldn't understand or appreciate what we have. And it would be unfair to call her a witch or call me a wizard. It would be absolutely unfair. I'm not a wizard. When I look at taste buds, we were driving today, I was like, babes, we tried though. Look how far we've come. Look at what we've achieved. So I think the message should be more of a message of encouragement. And if there's anything I would say if I had the opportunity to sit one-on-one with Funke ADEJUMO is, Madam Funke, your messages are going to the world. You've got to be careful. You've got to tone down and balance the narrative. Then those judgmental words, you are a witch. And my grandmother, I used to remember, for that word could just come out casually. And guess what? My grandmother was not bad. Because when I met some people's grandmother, that they give their children. So it's the generation we're coming from. The world does not accept this. The world does not think it is cute to label people. Look, listen, don't get me wrong, I do it too. I just use blanket words. Oh, those ones, they are goats. Oh, those ones, yes. But you see, sometimes it's good because it makes the message controversial and takes the message to a larger audience. But sometimes it has demerits, like now. So, please, if you have the opportunity to reach her, just tell her that, look, tone down the narrative. Beware of social media. People are listening, people are watching. Then balance it out. Instead of saying, any woman that cannot help her, you say, use the word angel, for instance, and say, a woman who moves into her husband's life and changes him for the better is an angel. I have passed the same message across. A woman who comes into her husband's life and changes his life for the better is an angel. Are you an angel? Don't you think you should be an angel? Then she now balances it out for the man. You know, angels don't live in hell. If you want to have an angel in your home, you must make your home heaven. So the man is now tasked with creating heaven for the angel who is going to come into his life and transform him. That's the message right there. I'm saying exactly what she said, but toning down the narrative and balancing it off. Don't get me wrong, some of her messages are, like Laila said, some of her messages are powerful. Some of her messages are spontaneous. I know I used to fight her back in the day because of the plenty money doctrine, but I noticed she's toned it down, and I'll appreciate if she tones the monetary side of the gospel down, and let's face the issues in the gospel. If she had said you are an angel, maybe we would not have heard it, maybe we would not have trended. But guess what? The impact will have been more monumental because she's actually saying the same thing. I studied psychology as a minor in the university, and there's what you call positive and negative reinforcement. I'll give you an example. You put a rat or a white mouse in a cage, and you want him not to touch food in a bowl. So what do? Negative reinforcement. If he touches the bowl, electric shock. So he knows that if he touches the bowl, he's going to get shocked. Or positive reinforcement. If he doesn't touch the bowl, you give him a piece of meat. So both are achieving the same thing. Negative reinforcement and positive reinforcement. They're both achieving the same thing. The goal is don't touch the bowl. So you'll be amazed with humans, positive reinforcement actually works better. You're able to connect with the person. You're able to explain to them that, look, a woman now, for instance, imagine I'm a woman, I'm married to a man, and the man's life has not changed. I will feel like, oh, I'm not an angel. Let me aspire to be an angel. And my husband, who has not created a heaven for me, will also aspire to create heaven for me, the angel, to come and live in his life and turn things around for the better. But when you say, I am a witch, then the essence of the message is lost. So that's as far as we can go, guys. I'll be back on by 10:30 tonight on Live and Dangerous with Daddy Freeze and Ada. I love you guys. Take good care of yourselves. And dear women, I'm going to say the same thing she said, just making it a bit more positive. Be that angel that turns the life of your husband or your boyfriend or the man you're going to be in a relationship with for the better. Be that angel. And men, you want that angel, provide a heaven for her. God bless you all.